Hi everyone, today's the 10th of April 2025. Welcome to Authentic Ingenuity Entrepreneur. My name is Mina Crichton, and today I thought, well, like I said before, as incidents do happen, we're up against a war-like competition. I'm not competing with anyone, but the opposing allies is. So I guess what I'm actually doing is actually exposing the works of the enemy. The opposing allies are cheating because there's no way that they could ever win without the misuse of devices and also the public support. So either the public support is a negative one or a positive one. So I guess this is something we're all learning globally and spiritually, but it's definitely criminal conspiracy globally by corporate bodies. And that's quite evidential in my court cases and also in my everything that I've gone through historically. Okay, so first of all, before I carry on, like usual, I'll start with a introduction, and I'll use posts, and I like to try and remember to actually refer to the laws so you guys all know where I'm coming from. And I think our case is actually quite unique, and I think I still believe in my heart that what I'm doing is what I'm supposed to do, and with confidence, knowing that I'm doing the right thing before God and before the honest people in the world. So what I'm going to be, first of all, is just reflect on who is the co-offender in my matters, who are breaking the laws versus those that the law would actually classify as vulnerable adult or as the victim. Okay. So the opposing allies are usually the people that are actually breaking the law or doing tactics by force to try and win something that they didn't win naturally. So we're dealing with organized crimes directly, indirectly. So in my case, I would be classified as a vulnerable adult, meaning victim in the legislation. And so is Henry as a vulnerable adult, meaning victim. Okay. So that is what we are both classified as the vulnerable adult because we are minding our own business. We're doing everything right. Our law-abiding citizens. We are an original, and yes, we are definitely in love with each other since we met. But there's been a lot of interference and me getting familiar with his culture. And so basically it's me standing my ground on my faith and on what I trust with Henry and what we had. Keeping in mind this is a global game, okay? And I am a left behind case. He's definitely, the evidence clearly show he's also a trafficking victim, but in a different world and in a different set of circumstances. His disadvantage is he doesn't know the laws that applies to him. He doesn't know how to use them. He's always had money, okay? So he's always relied on his money to support him, to get him out of trouble. He's always had his money to, to pay people or buy things. So he'll always have the good life and protect it because, that's what rich people do. So he hasn't really, he's independent, but not really in a sense compared to what I am or what you'd classify as an independent individual. Okay, so we're both from different worlds, so there's balance in our relationship. However, in between, we've had interference and no doubt the misuse of devices of the people recording us globally, and both of our private environment is contaminated by the game. So it's only common sense that I have no choice but to go with our life journey publicly and globally so that the honest, competent integrity men of God can actually move in for us and intervene, because I don't have a choice. I was actually thinking that if I had done this maybe going backwards in 2010, you know, living my honest life privately and also doing a public thing privately, no one would be contaminating my environment. You know, maybe even people will actually be alive, because, you know, I'm doing both public and private, and but the contamination and the conspiracy has been private, but through public, you know, misuse of device globally, and also illegal, unlawful scientific experiment in my private life, just by using the misuse of devices and being persecuted while I was working for the Ministry of Justice, okay, against my will. Unfortunately, the reality is, from my own personal experience as the victim of crimes, okay, in the beginning, you would never look at me as a type that, you know, would be a victim, or, you know, I don't actually act like the victim, but I have always been the victim. And historically, I have been used for relationship scams, going back when I was with the church. But that was the kind of like the starting point. And then also linking to my employer, the Ministry of Justice. And I'm trying to keep it short, but I can verify and confirm that victims are being personally victimized to death. Okay, that's my personal experience. And I know the opposing allies have had the intention to destroy my confidence and destroy. It's just the fact that, you know, the game involves actually trying to destroy, rob and kill whom they oppose, right? Spiritually, the warfare is spiritual, but it's not when it's intentional. So it's actually knowing whether what you're going through is because somebody else is interfering in your private business or trying to control, manipulate your situation. And that is the case. And because of the length of time I've suffered, or what they've persecuted me for over the years, I can clarify it is death to murder. Okay, so if I get murdered, the government will be charged for murder, for pretty serious murder charges, and that's why I know there's sufficient evidence now to actually prove all that. Okay, so Henry also is been victimized in other ways, and his mum, and I just believe that I need to keep up with what I'm doing globally, because those women are being definitely groomed globally too, just like all the other women in my situation. So we're dealing with internal corruption. If you watch all my other videos, I don't want to keep this one too long, because I just want to get to the point with what I got on my heart. It is internal corruption, okay? So basically there's clear evidence I've been used like an app, I've been used like a product, okay? That is illegal in any generation. It's illegal even now. But it has been a global game. I believe that all in God's time, He reveals the truth of how a system, whether it's good or bad, or actually reveal the serial cyber murderous system behind killing innocent civilians. And I feel that God has just actually used Henry and I's love story to actually reveal how everything actually works. Okay, so there is sufficient evidence there in my court case to prove that. And also getting to know Henry, I can actually also help him, or, you know, other expert people will probably be able to, you know, get him justice too in the criminal jurisdiction. But anyway, so we're talking about black market, blacklisted victims. So that is what we're up against. We're locked out, and we're definitely locked out incidents where the opposing allies already know our set of circumstances. How do they know? Because they're following us everywhere we go, or they're following me everywhere I'm going. And so they've already got their people embedded in my situation and everything I'm doing. They're listening to everything I'm saying in my home. They're listening to my phone call. So this has been going on historically. So I'm used to it. Okay, so it's nothing new to me. And I'm used to it. In fact, as the years go by, just the reflection and the flashback of everything I have gone through, I was like, oh my gosh, that is so serious. But yeah, they are definitely, the posters that I use, they are definitely locked in, okay? The other thing, it hasn't stopped and it will never stop until we get compensated and able to actually protect ourselves from these people invading our privacy, okay? But because we are both being intentionally sabotaged so other people can make money out of us or live off what we are both worth, and I'm quite sure that the sabotage they're doing to me, they all know is free money. So of course they know I'm going to go on the YouTube channel and put what I'm putting on because I'm trying to seek help, because I'm not getting it anywhere else here. The problem is that wherever I have gone, well, since I've been in this apartment where I am at, I've had problems with neighbours stalking, neighbours like following me even just to go to the elevator. That's not shouldn't be happening. It is. Okay, but that tells me whoever is watching me internally has texted that person to actually follow me into the lift, follow me out, and then the following continues. So, you know, that's quite clear of a person being used for illegal trafficking, because it's definitely a trafficking ring. Okay, so that is still going on today as we speak, every day. Okay, so this is how they know Henry's plan. That's how I know my plan. I can't, it's like a thorn in my flesh. I can't get rid of it because, you know, and then I go and listen to the government's radio clips, and I quite clearly can tell that they're talking about me and inciting about me globally. So I've actually been rebuking them as they happen, okay, because that's how you handle abuse. That's how you handle opposing allies who do things secretly, because they're actually breaking the law. So, and I'm not afraid to oppose you publicly the same way you're doing it to me publicly, secretly, because that's wrong. So if you get charged with a criminal offence, that's your problem, not mine. All right, so we're dealing with criminal pact, okay? Well, they call it suicidal pact, okay? There's a mixture of all kinds of a pact. So a pact, if you don't know what that is a syndicate. It's a group of people operating together, using people in the public and also using their occupation. But it's a global game, okay? So what actually happens in organised crime, they do all these things. They incite, okay, by coding. And then they are being aided or abetting, like somebody, they already know. You just know, they already know it's you. Somebody's gone around undermining. And so after the fact, usually if people have been used after the fact, it's called accessory, okay? And then a perpetrator is the one going around organising it, or someone who's initiating it, okay? So even the people that are doing the coding, if they're the ones responsible coding, they would be called a perpetrator, okay? They're the ones who've initiated it or coded, and then people just move, because this is how this new age system is going. They're encouraging a crime. They're encouraging somebody to do something wrong just by coding. right? So you can see what me and Henry are actually up against. So he's coded, I'm coded, okay? The whole thing with this game is, you know, that it's a game. And behind it's all about money, reputation, and, you know, powerful people who will probably go to prison for a long time if they get caught, and people in public. Okay, so just keep in mind, I'm the victim, and now I'm actually opposing everything globally because they've done this to me globally, and I can actually, just with my court case, you know, it's quite easy to make people accountable. Okay, guys, so globally, it is illegal to discriminate anyone in government, okay? But I'm just coming from New Zealand laws, so I don't know what laws there is out there in the country, in your world, but I'd say most of them are probably very similar. Well, I'm quite sure London should have the same kind of laws we do in a lot of aspect, but I'm speaking mainly from the laws here that is applicable to me in New Zealand. So only the laws in New Zealand is applicable to me as a New Zealand citizen, okay? But yes, our laws, like as far as the you know, legal authorities are surrounding the Bill of Rights and human rights, and that is applicable to me here and anywhere else in the country, anywhere else in the world. So the laws that I'm actually talking about as far as a criminal jurisdiction, it is also an international crime when it's outside. So my case is not only just New Zealand, it's actually international crime. So I'm not sure actually familiar how New Zealand actually deals with international crimes, but my case involving Henry is definitely international crime. However, every other woman that I've actually mentioned in the relationship scam are also an international crime. So it's clear cases. It's not specifically just only people in New Zealand at that point of time those incidents took place, because it's been an illegal global commonwealth. So when it's an illegal global commonwealth, it's international crimes. So there's no secret to everyone. I think everyone's a little bit, if you've been following me, you're all educated and aware now of relationships, love triangle, okay? But just keep in mind each situation, each set of circumstances is different. So when I was actually working with the government and I was going through the love triangle scenario, I didn't know about Moana until much later. And then the Echo situation and Dan Brady's situation that happened while I was at work. So I wasn't actually on any internet, any online anything, most of the journey. So it was all like in the moment at work environment, but just only at within my own private space and private and professional life. However, during the moment, I was aware of just some of the criminal alliances when I went out public. Just like it felt hostile, it felt like I was being attacked. All the signs were there and I didn't know what to do about it. Hence, this is the reason why I kept complaining to the police, but they did nothing about it. I'm talking about the stalking, but quite clearly now I understand why I was going through all what I was going through, and I wasn't actually, something that in my mind was just making up. I was definitely under surveillance and was being personally victimized and targeted and used by different people, but I didn't know who because I couldn't see them, but I could feel it. I just knew. But now that I can actually prove that in the criminal jurisdiction, but it is clearly information to prove that people overseas have been involved in what I've gone through here in New Zealand. So I'm talking about what's linked to my personal profile and money laundering purposes and the secret stealing, me being used for tax invasion and the lockout. So it hasn't really changed other than this situation, online. Okay, so me and Henry is an online relationship, whereas the other one, or the other relationship, love triangle, I wasn't online, so there's a massive difference. Okay, but there is actually no real big difference, other than I'm not so busy like how I used to be when I was working professionally. So I see things clearly. I see things so much clearer, and yeah. So, but online, like nothing much has changed as far as the stalking when I go out in public, but the online inciting, well, even though that is diminishing, good on you for whoever believes me and is actually doing their job. Thanks for that. But I just thought I'd acknowledge that I do notice a difference. The opposing allies are stopping since I've gone globally, because I'm quite sure that they're scared because of the laws. Okay. But it hasn't stopped. So I'm just, for the sake of Henry and his mum, okay, so got to keep, they're actually the vulnerable original. I'm the vulnerable original, and we're the actual innocent civilians trying to go forward. But the opposing allies are stopping us. Okay, they're trapping people. They're not only trapping people, but they're taking us down financially. They're watching every single thing we're doing, and then that's when they make their move. And so that's where we're at the moment. So we're trapped, and our atmosphere, our environment is clearly controlled and manipulated by those that have, who are pretending or imposturing us, or have a risk of going to prison. It's defamation. So, and they're trying to pretend that Henry is with Natalie, which is not even true, and they're still doing that pretending. But it's quite clear that is not true. And obviously, as you know, we've been twinned, blah blah blah. And then we've got all these other ones. I believe they're just being used for, not only for conspiracy tactics to take me down personally, or to break me and Henry up, or to take over everything. But there's money involved in all this, but it's still illegal to do what these people are doing. So basically, the only way to sort that out is actually for me to challenge the opposing allies, and then criminal jurisdiction is where everything will go if anything happens, or can be actually done now. It can actually be done against the person that is actually the conspirator. All right. Okay, so legally by law, without a shadow of doubt, this is what everyone has used me for. Okay. The aviation or AVL, they did this to me at work. Okay, at work, I'd say the people that I have a reasonable belief that they used me like an AVL or aviation, was Louise Holloway, also known as Sheehan. She was my manager, the one I always complained about. The pattern that I have found is that every time I complain about something, they exalt her. Or so that's what's happened, or anything good. It's been a deviation, whoever they use. Okay, the other person I can recall was Renee Nate in The Office, but then there were other women. Like it felt like a combination of mostly the women, I think, corporate jealousy when I was working at that point of time. But I knew I was in trouble. Even the way they set up the office, whoever was doing the arrangement, my surrounding, there was, an aviation. I felt that, okay, and the way the office was set, and the way they were bullying me, and the way they were doing things in the office, there was an aviation. And they made my life a living hell. They set everything up for me in advance. They set me up to fail. They made my working environment very difficult, and that was kind of the environment I was working under. That's why I felt no one should be working in that kind of environment, whether it was just a joke. You don't even just do that, but it was serious. Okay, they had, and then they were actually monitoring me while I was working, and then they were secretly persecuting me, and then all the people that were on bullying me, or you can just tell by reading the email that they were bullying me. They were complaining about everything I did, and even though I didn't do much wrong, they were victimizing me, but this also was consistent with the stalking that I went through while I was working, and also with everything else. Okay, it was a personal vendetta. And they had got into everything. Like, when I say everything that I did every single day, my activity, the people that served me, they were into everything. It was like they were glued. Okay, and then eventually I just knew my privacy was gone, and I felt sometimes when I was talking to them, I felt that they were interrogating me, like the call centers. Okay, so what I also found is that they identify only with the first name, but then they usually use names in my personal environment. They'll use somebody that I know, okay, or somebody in my family. They're using their names, but it's actually an aviation to turn it onto people within your personal space. Echo, the Indians used to use her name all the time and so people in the church, they did songs with her name, but it was not. What I want to make clear, it's not family violence. This is the illegal commonwealth game where they are contaminating Originals' environment, and then they're using them against each other. That's what I'm trying to say. So they're actually, but it's a global thing, and this is exactly what I'm going through now. This is the best way I can explain what I've gone through. They've used me like some kind of a stray animal, okay? They're doing barking sounds to let me know I'm a dog. But it's been going on for so long, I'm so used to it. I'm pretty confident in my own skin. I know I'm not a dog. But it is offensive what they're doing indirectly. It is illegal. It is a suicidal pact. And these are the signs to look out. They come out like a cage, and then they have the yellow car or yellows to represent. Now, I try to work out, why are they using the colour yellow? And then it clicked. This is why. So I can't find it right now, but it is because they've linked me to the legislation. So I've been glued. Okay, part of their scientific experiment, and they've glued me. Like, whatever I say, they're taking it, and then they're making me they're making me eat my words. Anything positive, they're stealing. But the yellow is actually from the legislation. Some of the legislation is highlighted yellow, okay? So that is what the colour yellow comes from. It's also letting everybody know that you're actually, that anybody that is classified as yellow, the upper class people are actually classifying those people as people beneath them, okay? I have to say it, but that's the mindset of some people that are so super rich, and they think they're so perfect, but that they're actually classifying people coded yellow because of the legislation. This is, and they're actually being used as yellow as like the lower class, okay? This is what the system is doing. And hang on, that's me. Sorry, I'm trying to find it. I think it's in the Human Rights Act. Here. Oh no, that's me highlighting it. Hang on a moment. But yeah, have a look anyway. But that is where they got yellow from. Pink. Pink is for representing the pink hierarchy supremacy. Example, maybe somebody in royal, okay? Maybe somebody in government, like in the judiciary, but pink is white. That's what. So the colours, and purple is slave. Okay, and then they've got other colours like blue. They're representative of something. Okay, but yellow is mean. You've been category yellow as the lower class, yet they're using us, they're stealing. Okay, so apparently I'm lower class. I'm a scum to these people, but they're actually stealing and making a lot of money out of me. And they know I'm worth a lot of money, but that's why scientific experiment is illegal, because what they're doing to me is definitely 100% illegal, and it's the reason why World War I and II actually broke out. But they've sneakily created this system internally. It started off from internal corruption. Right, I think I'll just start now. Okay, so legally by law, I'm not actually breaking any laws with Henry being my online fiance. Okay, because if you watch all the other video clips of how we came about, but I don't want to talk about that. I actually want to focus on what's actually very serious at the moment. Okay, so we've been having this online relationship since July 2023. Yes, there have been times I know they've interfered. There's PR pretending to be him, imposters pretending to be him, and to be totally honest, from someone who has not always used to the technology, because everything's quite foreign to me when I started learning the technology. I'm not, we all have our talents, and technology is one of them that I'm just learning. Okay, I'm learning as I go, and a lot of it I've just learned because I've been forced to know. And so I've been horrified with finding out that how easy it is to actually people pretend to be an imposter. So there were situations where I've spoken to Henry, and then he's left the conversation, and then I've ended up talking to somebody else. So I've actually got angry at him for not letting me know he's left the conversation. It didn't make sense to me, but then we always find our way together. But then as time went on, I realized that his culture, because he's an actor, okay, everyone knows he's super famous, okay, I mean, he's very good at what he does. But his life, his culture, apparently from what I find out, is he's been managed by management. So to them, he's like a property, okay? It sounds like he has no rights. Even his private life is taken away from him. But he hasn't been in anything to do with Hollywood since he got sick. But talking from my perspective here as his fiance, okay, because now we're having this warfare where, the government behind him, or the people behind him, claiming that I'm talking to an imposter. They're turning it around. And then Amy Denton is apparently the real girlfriend. So you see all the deviations. I'm just going with this because God is showing me this is what they're doing with the relationship, with the in the middle, with the system, with the government, and it's serious, okay? It's very serious. But I'm a straightforward human being, okay? I don't play games. I like to use things like online, and I don't like deception, and I don't like people trying to trick me. And so, but these are the kind of things I found, okay, when I was working with the Ministry of Justice. Okay, we had the internet, and the Ministry of Justice came out, and then all of a sudden we were allowed to have access to the internet. I think it was like 10 minutes was on our contract. We're allowed to have free time on the internet for only 10 minutes, I think, when I was in contract with the Ministry of Justice. But what I discovered when I was working for the Ministry of Justice, these are things like really serious breaches, okay? I used to notice that whoever was controlling the Ministry of Justice's internet when we went on, like when I would go research something, what I wanted to look for, it wasn't there. But when I used somebody else's internet, they had it, but I didn't. And then there were other times, you know, things were like somebody was controlling what I was seeing, what I could see and what I couldn't see. But then they also had access watching us going into our bank accounts. You know, so there was clear evidence that as an employee working in the Ministry of Justice going backwards then, that they were actually monitoring it. And so they had access to our bank accounts when we went in there, because I used to use the internet only for my bank accounts to do, you know, because I was a single parent and I did all my transaction online, you know, just found shortcuts to, you know, cut down because I was always working. And, you know, I didn't really have much time for anything public other than go shopping with my kids or do food shopping. But other than that, I was always busy. So the internet, I used to use that for, but the internet is also a global thing. So I don't know what our government's going to do about that. But you can't really blame the finger and point the finger at a conspiracy murders or anything like that if we've got all these little breaches, because that is a breach of privacy. And in my protected disclosure, I used to complain that people were doing proxy hacking, reading my emails. And I believe this is probably how they have made themselves linked. Like they're just finding out people's private information, and then they you know, send their people and befriend them, and next minute they're friends, and they don't even know that they're actually, you know, a spy or an informant. And now we don't know whether they're from around the world, but I'm just painting a picture from what I've experienced personally. And so this year I was thinking, well, how can I get away and get my privacy back? Because no matter what I do, they're following me. I can't go forward. I'm in the same scenario going round and round in circles. I guess the only way really is to cut off all my internet, go off the benefit, and just go live somewhere on an island or a desert, and then they can't find me. But, you know, because without me, they're nothing, and they'd be scared because they know they've done some pretty serious stuff. But I thought, no, I feel like God wanted me, you know, everyone else has to go through it. Why not? I have to go through it. And that's why I've stayed committed to this relationship with Henry, okay? And because since I've gone public and exposing it, then we've got Miss Amy Denton pretending. And so, you know, there's now that public confusion. And now I've actually been sending him money. I've been sending him money and gift cards. And so naturally thinking people that don't know anything about gaming gift cards or whatever they want to call it, sorry, they would actually interpret it, oh, that Henry loves games and he spends all his money on games. But that's not how it works. It actually converts to money. Some, yes, are for games, but not what I use. They actually convert to money and it goes into their bank account, and that's how they get money. And the reason why we do that, it was that to stop him from being tracked by his haters and his imposters who are pinned down. And, you know, obviously he's money, but he's an innocent civilian, all right? He's sick of what everyone's done, and it's quite clear he's been used like an object, like I've been used like an object. And so I believe, you know, there's a lot of reasoning why God drew us together even before we knew each other. But yeah, so that's another reason why I haven't given up. And I think the only way for him and I to survive this thing is for me to actually keep the evidence in the middle, because other people are still trying to, you know, they're convincing people it's a game, all right? But according to the law, you're either the conspirator, the thief, the murderers. You can't be both, okay? So that's why I've actually had to go public. So according to the law here in New Zealand, I'm not breaking anything, okay? I'm on a benefit because, not because of my own doing, it's because of what I've gone through with my court cases. Have you been watching that? I lost my job because I was cyberbullied out of my job. It was an organized crime kind of a situation. They derailed me, they bullied me, they glued me like what I'm going through now. Okay, so they've glued me, and that hasn't stopped. It's like having a thorn in your flesh, or just an evil spirit glued to me. But that's all part of the illegal project that the government has done on me, but whoever was responsible behind the scene. Okay, but then they've turned my life like a sport, like a global thing. Okay, so we've got members in your family maybe, or other people who may be, you know, they're better off financially, and they've turned me into a product and making me like I exist on this earth because of that person. Okay, so they've made me the slave. Anything I do, they get the glory, or whoever has been animated get the glory, and that is what they're doing. Okay, but I'm still an individual, and in the court of law, if I die and I don't make it, or anything else, yeah, you know, it will be dealt with hardcore evidence from, you know, the victim's mouth, or from whatever the original's environment is. So I've been sending him money out of the kindness of my heart, because it's my duty too. And him and I, you know, desperately want to be together. But the danger is the deception. They're watching me go down financially because I'm helping him, and then they interfere and they sabotage. Okay, so I haven't cleared that with Wins, because I can't really legally, because he's not here yet, because his intention is, excuse me, I just burped, is to come. But legally, by law, I know I'm not breaking any law, plus I'm helping someone in need. Okay, so, but I'm just going with this because I feel God wants me to experience what I'm going through for a lot of reasons. Okay, so I don't regret what I'm going through. So my concern is the lies and the deception by the criminal alliance on the surface. So the system is obviously quite clearly, that is who the people vote. All right, so this is probably where Moana comes in, Echo comes in, and now Amy Dent, because that's who the people vote. Right? But that's not who Henry wants, or that's not what actually happened. I mean, it's not my fault the men put their guard down. I know that some rejected the women or stuff like that, but that's got nothing. I don't care what they do behind the scenes. There's just some things I know they think I don't know, but I do know. There's, you know, I need to just touch base on the evidence. So that's why I thought I don't have a choice but to actually expose the game globally too, and that's exactly what I'm doing. Okay, guys. Henry had 3 operations. I'll just keep it brief, okay? So he actually has been sick for about probably, can't be exact, for quite a long time, for maybe 11 to 12 months he's been actually in hospital mostly this time, okay? So he's actually cut off people since he got sick. Okay, so this is the real him. He sent me this when he got a bad news that he had to go for a second operation. This is the reception, okay, of the hospital he had to go. He ended up fainting because he was stressed, because he had the first operation and then he had to have a second one because the doctors had used the equipment of another patient and hadn't sterilized it. So because of that, an infection had caused in his operation, so he had to go for a second operation. But this here is what he looked like back then. And this is the reception, because I asked him to send me. He was so worried. He was stressed. He was just going through a really difficult time. And no, he wasn't contacting anyone. It was we both tried everything to be private, and we did for quite a long time, because he didn't want no one to know. He didn't want anything to do with anybody. Nothing. He wanted to deal with all this alone. So, but he chose me out of all the women that claims to be his closest, whatever they want to call themselves, to be with him during his darkest time. And trust me, guys, he's not the type of person who will play games with women's feelings. Okay, if there's anything going on that people are trying to say he's playing games, he's a womanizer, it's because imposters are doing it. Other people that hate him are doing it. They're defaming him secretly. In fact, his celebrity life has actually made him lose his true identity, like his true identity of his real person. He's been buried under. But it's very much like what I've gone through too, but in a different sense. Alright, guys, so this female, Amy Denton, has definitely been used as the one to switch. That's what they're doing. They're secretly switching, and I think they have intention of even secretly switching my compensation money to whoever they choose behind the scene, okay? Because they want to kill me, right? I'm putting it blunt, okay? They have to kill me to be able to get away with everything, but I don't think so. They will never get away with it. I'm quite sure of it, okay? But I have to expose this game. So if you read this here, this was by her, okay? This is her crazy, stupid personality. Like I said, I followed her before. Because I didn't understand the celebrity life, even the personality in the games of all these people. All I can see is like, flip, what an unruly system. Like they first are using, fans are using his identity, his PR is using his identity, pretending to be him, and then you're talking globally, okay? But this is Miss Denton. This is her name before was Amy Denton. So she's obviously been used by other powerful people because she's quite confident in what she's doing, okay? She's claiming that she's Henry, but this is her personality, okay? This is her real, like some of the things I followed. She just sounds like a really unsettled female to me, okay? And Henry's mum doesn't even know her. Okay, Henry's still the same. He doesn't know her. And I thought, well, maybe if she is an ex, okay, an ex using her, because this new age system, they are grooming, innocent civilians. I mean, I won't say she's innocent anymore because she knows very well what she's doing. So this is what I have found. Other powerful people with lots of money around the world, they're sponsoring these people to do these things, and this is where they're getting their confidence. But there's money in making videos, the revenue, and that's the whole idea of why they're doing what they do. And then we got famous singers making songs with these. This is how the game works. These famous celebrity songs, they're making songs and lyrics, and on these, on the participants of the love triangle, okay, and they're making money out of it, okay. But I haven't consented for anyone to make songs off me, or be part of anything like this. Nor has Henry, but he doesn't have a choice from what it looks like. And so as far as we're concerned, she's forcing herself on him. Everything she is saying is all on cards, and I'm denouncing her because she could be also a suspect of someone trying to kill him. Okay, there's clear evidence that someone is a victim, and somebody is definitely trying to kill him.
What are Henry's plans?
Okay. Okay, hang on a moment. Oh, I feel so sorry for him. I'll just try and find the bank. I had a post here of his mum at the post office this morning. So just bear with me. I'm just trying to find it. Okay, spiritually, we're actually dealing with this spirit, okay? When you're on a blacklisting or black market thing where you feel like you're cursed. But this is what we're up against, but it's globally. I think I'll just leave it there because I do have a photo of his mum and him being her at the actual post office where she sold the money, where she gave the money, because they won't give. I mean, that's not his fault, okay? That's not his fault that they stole the money. But I just haven't downloaded the picture of his mum at the post office this morning, okay, with the company that their employee stole the money. They can't find him, he or she. I don't know if it's a he or she. But if you can just contact, I know there's ways of contacting him, those that are watching him. And he's very serious about, we are both very serious about our situation. But I can guarantee you he has no intention in the near future to be with any woman set up by the public or forced on him by the public. And I'm the same. Okay, and I'm just really more worried about his mental health and his mum's safety, her mental health too, because she's been through a hell of a lot. Okay, they've both been through a hell of a lot, and I just find it really sickening with this game, doing what they're doing. But